Hi everybody, Nancy Burke here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how I created the stitching around these circles to create a kind of bubble effect on this scrapbook page. I'd like to thank my good friend Tanya R, aka Ms. T64 on Instagram for asking me how I created this look. She was wondering how I did it, so I decided to do a YouTube video to show her, as well as others, my technique for stitching around circles like this. Okay, so to get started, rather than showing you on a full 12 by 12 sheet, I'm going to show you how I did it by using a smaller sheet of 6 by 6. This is just so we can focus in on one area and I can show you one circle and then you can apply it to any other size circles or anywhere else on a page you want to. So we're going to start with that. But before I start, I just wanted to say that I created these actual circle cutouts on my electronic cutting machine. I used a Silhouette Cameo 2, but you don't have to have an electronic cutter to create circles on your page. I also could have used, this is a circle cutter by Martha Stewart. You can get these at just about any craft store. I got this at Michael's years and years ago. I don't know if this particular model is still there, but I know they still have similar ones. So this is the Martha Stewart circle cutter. And as you can see, the center part moves and the outside stays stable. And it's got ball bearings in it to allow this part to spin. So what I've done is I'm going to use some low-tack washi tape like this to stick down my sheet of 6 by 6, and that's just to hold it steady as this spins around and I create the circle cut. The page behind it isn't shifting around. Okay, so I'm going to sit this down like this, and I want to create a 2-inch circle. Now the other component to this circle cutter is the actual blade piece itself, and this is the handheld piece. It's got a blade on the end and it swivels, and this is how we actually create the cut. So I want to create a 2-inch circle, so I've already marked where the 2-inch circle needs to be, but I want to show you exactly how this works to cut it out. So I take this piece and I find my number 2, which is my 2-inch mark, and that's going to be the size of my circle, and it's got a corresponding hole, and that's where the blade sits down inside that little hole. And then as I turn this, it's going to create a cut that's exactly 2 inches across, and that's going to be my circle cut. So before I pick this up and move this out of the way, I want to do one more thing with this. I want to create an outline that's going to serve as my guide for my hand stitching. So I'm going to use this pencil. It's a Kimberly pencil by General Pencil Company. It's a 4H, so it's a hard pencil, and which just means that the graphite is a little bit harder, so it puts down less graphite on my paper, so it's going to look a little bit lighter. And that's what I prefer to use for tracing or to create any guidelines that I don't want to be really dark. So, okay, so I've got my 2-inch circle, and I want to create an outline. So let's see, what would be a good one? Let's do 2 3/8, and this will create just a bit of an outline around the outside of that circle cut. And I'm just doing this very lightly. This is just a guideline. I don't need it to be really hard or dark. Okay, I'm just gonna go around that a couple times to make sure that I've got a good circle. And then when I remove this, as you can see, I've got the circle has been cut out, and I've got that pencil guideline around the outside edge. Now, the next thing I want to do is create the holes along this pencil line that will serve as the guide for where I put my embroidery floss. So what I need to use is a piece of craft foam or any foam type of a substance that can lay flat. And this is just a piece of craft foam that you can get at any craft store. They come in larger sheets and I just cut them down to the size of project I'm working on. So I'm going to put that down. And oh, one of the reasons why I used a glass cutting mat is because anytime you're working with a blade and cutting through paper, you want to use some sort of a mat that's not going to scratch. So I could have used a self-healing mat, but for this particular type of a cut with the circle cutter, a glass mat seems to always work best. So that's why I use the glass mat for this. Okay, so back to this. I've got my foam piece and I'm going to lay this down. Now to create my holes, I'm going to use a thumbtack. And the reason why I like to use a thumbtack is because number one, it's easier to grip and I can just quickly go around this circle. So what I'm doing is I'm just pressing down and it's just popping through the cardstock into the foam, and I'm making these holes about 1/4 inch apart. So there we go. We're going to go all the way around, just pushing through. And this sits down into the foam so that we've got these nice little holes all the way around. Okay, so you don't need to see me do that whole thing. So what I end up with is something like this that's got holes all the way around. Again, these are about 1/4 inch apart. You want to make sure they're evenly spaced because that will just make for a smoother circle when you do your stitching. So now I've got my holes, and I don't have to worry about erasing this pencil guide because this is going to be covered up with embroidery floss. But if you happen to do it a little bit darker, or you're using a thinner type of embroidery floss and you're afraid your pencil lines will show, then you surely can go around and just erase those pencil lines, and it's going to leave your little holes there for your guide. Excuse me. So now I'm going to use my embroidery floss, and this is just a slight pearly white embroidery floss, Pearl Iris, and I really like this because it's got a tiny bit of a shine to it. So I'm also using a yarn darner, and a yarn darner is slightly different than a regular needle in that it's got a slightly bigger eye so that you can fit embroidery floss or other heavier types of fibers through it. And okay, so I'm going to start in the back and just following those little holes. Oop, I lost my needle. Okay. Starting from the back, just start to pull my thread through, and I want to leave a little bit of a tail. I don't want that to slip all the way through, so I'm going to take some of my washi and just tack that down so that I don't accidentally pull my embroidery floss all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to go around this circle, up through the back, down through the front, up through the back, down through the front. And as I work my way around, as I work my way around this circle, as you can see, I'm leaving a gap, but I can just go back and fill that in when I stitch back the other way. See, so if I just go the other direction, then I'm just filling in that gap, and I'll end up with a circle all the way around the entire thing. So you don't need to watch me stitch that entire thing. So I happen to have one here that's already done and ready. So this is what it looks like when it's done. And what I can do now is I can add some fun papers back behind this. I've got this cute little fish paper with some little water droplets, so I want to add that to the back, but I want to create a little bit of a dimension. I don't want this completely flat. I want to pop it off just a little bit. So I'm going to use some double-sided foam mounting tape, and I'm just using little pieces of this. I'm not worrying about cutting it to any particular size, just taking little pieces. You can tear this right off. Okay, so I've got a few pieces there. I'm going to remove the plastic backing, hence the double-sided tape. And I'm going to line this up about where I want my little fish. Okay, so there we go. We've got a little bit of dimension. The cardstock is popped off the back just a little bit to create sort of like that little circle bubbly effect. Okay, so that's that. And let's say I wanted to use this particular project as a card for, let's say, a pool party. So I happen to have these cute little sentiment stickers that I'm going to tuck right in here. Okay. And maybe take one of these cute little enamel stickers from Chamel from the Sparkle City collection and just add that cute little dot right there for a little bit of sparkle. And I could use this as, again, a invitation to a pool party. I could cut this smaller, add it as an embellishment to a page, create more circles, do whatever I wanted with this. But so that's basically the way I created the circles on this page. If you like my YouTube channel, please subscribe. I'm going to have new content every week with different craft projects and different techniques for scrapbooking and other things. So again, go ahead and subscribe if you like my channel. The next video I'm going to do is to show you how I created this really fun, sparkly, what is this? Seaweed along the bottom of this page, using things like some of these Heidi Swap Color Shine Mists, Glimmer Mists from Tattered Angels, Mr. Huey's. This is an older product from Studio Calico. So I'm going to show you how to use those to create this fun effect for pages and projects. So again, it's Nancy Burke, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.